All right, so we're talking about the final exam. This is our last lecture for Business 132. We're all so sad. You'll get time to say goodbye to your group members and other folks in the class. But we're talking about the final exam. It's 80 questions, it's 110 points. You got 3 hours to do it, so you should pace about 3 minutes per question max. You want to open the final exam study guide before you take the final exam. That'll tell you what the key terms are. And it's one attempt. You need to do it in one sitting, just like the other quizzes. So this is actually incorrect. It's 240 minutes, so ignore that. I'll adjust that. So once you start it, you want to be able to finish it. So block out a block of time on your calendar when you can do it in one sitting. You can't save it and come back to it. Once you open it, the clock starts. And even if you close it down, it continues to run. So do it in one sitting. Standard stuff. The study guide. There's no essay questions. Straight terminology. And I'm telling you right here, this is the list. Know these terms that are all listed here, and you'll be fine. So, and you can get the details on these terms by opening the second study guide. So I would have kind of both of them open. I know you have other instructors. You got other things going on. So open up the study guides, do a quick peek. It's just terminology, confirmation of understanding terminology. And frankly, most of the terms are highlighted here on the left. So you've got your definition here. Got everything you need. So get her done sooner than later. The sooner you get the final exam done, sooner you can check off this class. My apologies. So, questions? No questions on the final? Everybody's tired, ready to be done.
I do have a question. So, I had a couple of issues with the quizzes previously. Like sometimes there was some terminology that was sort of kind of crossed into like it could be either or sort of territory. Are these questions basically from the quizzes that we've already taken, and should we kind of just be mindful of the quizzes that we took?
Yeah, so that's a totally fair question, Karen. And I did get that feedback from actually a couple students. And so what I did is I went back, and this study guide, the OER study guide, is new and improved. So I went back and I cleaned up ambiguity on questions. So it should be a lot cleaner and more detailed in this new version of the study guide. So
awesome.
it is the same questions from the quizzes pretty much, but the study guide and the definitions, there were a couple of OER chapters like early in the course for like, what is that? Did we cover that? I didn't remember seeing that in the study guide. So I think I cleaned all those up, and it should be a less confusing experience this time.
Oh, no, I appreciate that. No, because there was just some that were just sort of worded differently. So then it was sort of like going outside of this to find out like what the definition was. So I appreciate that you did that. I'm sure that was tedious.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that gets really confusing when you step out of the course materials, because you can get 20 different definitions for new product development process. And like, everybody selling stuff has a different definition. So I try to go with like the scaled down, concise definitions. I'm looking on the chat. Thank you, Karen. So is the exam timed? Yes, it is. You have 3 hours. Is there any notes allowed to take the exam? Yeah, you can have as many notes as you want because you're taking it on your own. I'm assuming you have the study guide open. I'm assuming you have the final exam study guide, the OER study guide. You can use your notes, all of that, because you're taking it on your own. So I'm not doing it, I'm not overseeing you guys taking the exam. So confirmation of learnings. Good questions. Anything else? Questions, final exam for the chat. It's open right now. Remember, you have one attempt, so don't start it until you're ready to do it. I wouldn't, make sure you have a block of time so you're not going to be interrupted, being in a place where you have stable internet connection, because it's a one attempt situation. Can I go back in and reset it? I can. It's kind of a pain. So, but I put the deadline as Monday the 14th, so I'm opening it up early, and then next week is technically your final exam week. So with online/synchronous classes your final exam dates runs within that week. So I put it on Monday the 14th. I kind of opened it up early. If you have any exceptions on that, please let me know, like this week with an email request. Looking good. Feeling good. We're almost there. Okay. Well, if there's no questions on that, any other questions on either the grading or the final? All right. Okay. Keep monitoring the chat. So that's our grade update. You know that we're at 780. I'll grade the marketing plans today/tomorrow, but I should get them all done today. And then I'll take you to 880, and then it's just today's session. You're here, you'll get your 10 points or bonus points if you're, and it's the final exam, and you're done. So you should be at a spot where you can kind of project your grade at this point. It's straight letter grades here at Maricosta. My prior college, I used to do plus or minus grades, but here it's 900 plus is an A, 800 to 899 is a B, 700 to 799 is a C, sub 700 is not a C grade. I don't think any of you on this call have that situation. Students do ask me, like, what if I'm just like 1 point away, Prof? Like, how do we handle those? Does come up sometimes. So here's my answer to that. If you're within 5 points, 5 points of the next letter grade rounding up, then I will bump your grade. So if you come in at 895 in points, I will bump you to 900. If you come in at 894, I won't bump you. So I have to cut it off somewhere. Otherwise, it's like, hey, you gave it to this guy at 895. I'm at 894. It's only 1 point difference, bro. Come on, hook a brother up. And then it's like, hey, I noticed you gave it to this guy. I'm only 10 points away. And then before you know it, it's open season. So 5 points is my rounding for you guys. If you're within 5 points of a letter grade, then I will bounce you up. Make sense? Sound fair? Okay. All right, gang. Well, let's do our last breakout. So it's your last chance to mingle with some other students. There's 25 of you on here. So let me open that piece up. This group breakout exercise you can see is right here. It's also in this week 16 discussion. So what you're going to do is this. I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I'm going to give you a couple of different scenarios. Each group will have a scenario, and you're going to, it looks like a lot in the written prompt, but I'm just going to cover it now, and then this will speed it up for you guys working in your groups. You're not writing anything up. You're just going to deliver spoken. You've got 4 to 5 members in your group, and there's a question for each member in your group. So everybody in the group should speak. And this is a chance just to seal in your knowledge. Like, do I know how to define a target market? Do I know how to, put together the components of the promotional mix to come up with a promotional plan for a client scenario? So we're kind of sealing that in with this final exercise. So here's the prompt. I'll read it to you, and I'm going to put the link to this. I see some of you are in there already. Put the link in the chat as well right now. So exercise. In the chat. So working in your group, you're going to come up with a promotional plan for your specific client scenario. That's in the next page. You'll see there's a table. You're going to just describe your plan. You don't need to write anything up. You're just talking it through like you're pitching your boss on your marketing idea. Each member of your group will answer a question. This reminds me of watching, my boys got me into this Amazon Prime series called The Boys, with all this, like, these superheroes that are owned by a corporation, and they're all these horrible people. They're tools and horrible people. But the marketing guys basically come in and pitch and tell them what they're going to do. They set up all their crimes for them. Has anybody seen this show? Just curious. Kind of like binged it hard the other night and watched like 8 episodes in a row. The Boys.
I heard about it, but I never watched it.
Yeah.
I heard it's really good though.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty raunchy. It's high on the violence and high on the sex scale. So my boys, of course, were into that. But yeah, it's funny because there's a lot of marketing that goes on in this series. The marketing guys are constantly in these pitch meetings telling the superheroes, here's what you're going to be doing for your next crime, and they have it all set up. So it is funny because you'll hear some of our language that we talk about in the class in that series. So at any rate, you're tasked with promoting MiraCosta's career education program. So career education is a broad division or a school at MiraCosta. And so that includes like nursing and business and computer science and media arts and technology. There's a whole bunch of different departments in the college, but they're career education focused versus something like an English class, right? And so your task, let me hide this view here because it's your task is to promote a specific program per the table you see down below. And I see a bunch of you are in this assignment already. You have a budget of $200,000. This is for the fall semester 2021. Some assumptions you can make is that, hey, we now have CV-19 immunity in fall of next year. So let's assume we have, the vaccine went out and now we're kind of back to business as usual, or whatever the new usual is. So you're going to develop a promotional plan for your group under kind of that assumptions that it's business back as usual. So that means things like special events, live events are back on the table because there's no COVID restrictions. So here's your assignments per group. And you want to think about what type of student, buyer persona, target market, is most likely to pursue these courses. So I kind of laid these out for you. Ignore hospitality because I'm going to use that as an example just to explain some of this. But you'll be in group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So there'll be 4 of you per group. One group will have 5. And your student group will either be high school seniors for group 1 or nursing students for group 2. Child development students, that's, they take care of the little kids. Child development students, and there's some age groups here. Open on gender and age. Law enforcement, 18 to 24, trans male. Business administration, open on gender and age. So that's giving you some rough demographic stuff there. You'll be assigned one of these different student groups and then the courses that you want to promote. So you're going to be promoting these courses to this student group. So you're trying to get this student group to enroll in these courses. And then your questions are as follows. So it looks like a lot, but it's meant to be directional. So let me just take you through some of these. So you have 4 questions. I'm going to top line the questions and then I'll give you an example of how to answer them all. So first of all, you want to have 3 main content themes, assuming that social media, digital media is going to be one of your promotional mix components. You don't have to develop a whole content calendar, but at least come up with a couple of themes. I'll circle back to that in a second. That's question 1. Question 2 is you want to describe your buyer persona, AKA target market. Who is your, I gave you some rough information on the student group up here in the table. That's your student group, and it has some demographics. But here you want to go further. So specifically also the psychographic piece. And I'll share an example with that for you in a second. The third piece is describe your promotional mix, just like you did for your individual marketing plans. You have a budget, again, of $200,000. And I'll share an example with you for hospitality in a second. How are you going to allocate that budget? Advertising, PR, personal sales, or sales promotion. And then 4th is describe your metrics. You don't need to write anything up. You need to collaborate amongst your group, talk it out, and try to come up with a promotional plan. You got 20 minutes in your group, and then we'll do a share out that is roughly another 20 minutes from there. So good on time. So the example would be, like for developing 3 main content themes, if I was doing hospitality, as you see here, and I wanted to build a content calendar. I'm like, all right, the 3 themes we're going to work off for fall 2021 would be hotel life, where I romance hotels and glossy pictures of beautiful people by the pool. And you could have a career in this field. So this is all about hotel life, would be one of my themes. Another theme would be now hiring, where I'm really featuring local hotels and other tourism businesses that are hiring. And then the third content theme would be hospitality graduates, where I'm featuring students who graduated from the hospitality program at MiraCosta and are now employed. So those are my 3 theme categories. Does that make sense? So you're just looking for like broad themes, like this is a theme of things that we could work off with images, content, that could work. So that's content themes. Let me go through these 4 and then I'll see if there's any questions. The second piece is describe the target market, AKA buyer persona that you're going after, demographically and psychographically. So hospitality, I'm saying, okay, the age is 18 to 24. They have a 2-year or a 4-year degree, because you don't necessarily need a 4-year degree to go into the hospitality field. It's both male and female. It does skew slightly higher female in the hospitality employment. But there's some demographics, right? Age, income, gender, ethnicity, household income levels, stuff like that. Psychographics of a hospitality student, I would say, they're a people person, they're social, they like to travel, be outdoors and recreation. And, they're less inclined to go for like really hardcore technical, like biotech and computer science type degrees. They don't want something that's too technical. So those are psychographic descriptions. So second piece is describe your student group with some demos and psychos. The third is the promotional mix, familiar to you now. That's those 4 pieces of advertising, PR, personal sales, and sales promotion. So allocate your budget. Again, you have $200,000. Allocate that $200,000 amongst whatever you're going to do. You don't need to do all 4, advertising, PR, personal sales, and sales promotion. And frankly, personal sales is a salesperson who's going out and actually selling the product, meaning the person can buy the product directly from the salesperson. That doesn't really exist with MiraCosta College and taking courses. You can have representatives from MiraCosta go to a college fair at high schools and sign people up, get people's email and give them some freebies, but you can't actually take them all the way through enrolling and choosing classes, right, in that one step. Versus if you go and step onto a car dealership, they can actually sell you. You're going to work with one person and they're going to sell you the car all the way straight through. So personal sales probably doesn't make sense as part of your promotional mix. So that leaves you with advertising, digital stuff, sales promotion, and maybe some PR, public relations. So it's up to you. You don't have to use all 4. Anyway, so that third piece is describe your promotional mix. For example, hospitality students. You know what? I'm going to spend out of that 200,000, 150,000 on advertising, and the other 50 on sales promotion. I'm going to go ahead and take that 150 and divide it evenly between Instagram, Facebook, and Spotify. I'm just going to put it right there. And then the other 50,000, I'm going to put towards college transfer fairs. So again, these are reps going to these college fairs at high schools to try to get leads for hospitality students, but they're not selling the product. So it's not personal sales. Yes, they're reps going out to the event, but it's an event. So it's sales promotion. Sales promotion is that broad category: contests, sweepstakes, coupons, special events, trade shows, all that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm going to spend my money. So that's 1, 2, 3. I've got my content themes. I've got my buyer persona. I've got my promo mix. Then I got my metrics. And thank you. A lot of you went back and adjusted your marketing plans for the metrics piece. The metrics piece is not describing what I'm going to do. For advertising, I'm going to do X, Y. I'm going to be on Instagram. I'm going to do some feature stories, whatever it is. It's not that. And it's also not, it's going to cost me this much money. It's what's the goal that I want to hit. If I'm doing sales promotion and I have a a booth at the San Diego Academy High School. Oh my God, I'm having a senior moment. I literally forgot the name of my two sons' high school. San Diego Academy High School. I'm going there for a college fair, and it's costing me $1,000, you know, for a booth and all the free things that I'm going to give out. And I've got a person working the booth, and they're getting an hourly rate. So my metric needs to be not the cost of the event, it's what's the goal that I want to get from the event. How many leads do I want to get? How many email leads? How many of those can I convert into sales? So for metrics, you'll see it's a goal. It's a goal number that you want to hit for whatever the activity is. For digital advertising, I'm saying I want a return on ad spend down here of 4. And I ran some numbers here. You don't need to have this level of detail, but take a stab. You can even say our metrics are going to be for digital advertising, we want to hit X amount of engagement, or for sales promotion, we want these number of leads. That's sufficient. It's a goal number, not the cost. So I'm saying here, my goal is to enroll 50 full-time students from each platform. It runs all fall. So I'm hoping to capture 50 from IG, 50 from Facebook, and 50 from Spotify. That's 150 students. Let's assume the value of a full-time student, which is 12 plus units per semester, is 4,000. And you're saying as a student, it doesn't cost that much to go to MiraCosta College. But we also get funding from the state for every student. So we get, we're subsidized also through the state. So we have enrollment, your guys' fees, you're out of pocket, but we also get money from the state. So I'm projecting that to be about $4,000 per full-time student. So let's assume we're getting $4,000. That's like sales per student. 150 students would be, quote, sales of $600,000. $600,000, and how much did I spend? $150,000. $600,000 in sales divided by $150,000 spent in digital advertising gives me a return on ad spend of 4. In the chat, please, is that good or bad? An ROAS of 4. Is that good or bad? For every dollar in advertising I spend, I get $4 in sales. 1-to-4 ratio. Alex says, that's pretty solid. Are you out there? Is anybody else alive? Tell me I'm not insane and I'm just talking to my laptop by myself. There you go. Yeah, and we're trying to get to 3 to 1, right? So anything, $3 of sales for every dollar of advertising, it's pretty good. You have other expenses, so 3 to 1 is good. Now we could get fancy. I know in some of your marketing plans you had like, here's all my sales and here's my advertising costs. I'm dividing all my sales by my advertising costs, and you have these huge return on ad spends because you're attributing all of your sales to your advertising. I'm not going to pick that apart in your marketing plans, but you would want to be careful, and like out of all your sales, probably not all of it is coming straight from that advertising expense, right? So that would give you a more modest return on ad spend. So for those of you who had marketing plans were like, my return on ad spend is 5,000. For every dollar I spend in advertising, I get 5,000 in sales. That probably means you have some, you're allocating too much of your sales directly to the advertising piece. That's just a sidebar. I'm not going to deduct that on your marketing plan. All right, so that's my return on ad spend for the digital advertising piece. You guys are saying that's pretty solid, Nate. You got a 4 to 1. We approve. And then my sales promotion. I'm going to do 10 college fairs. That's a lot, by the way. And I have done college fairs. And if any of you have done sales promotion, like live shows, being a sales rep stuff, that stuff, it is tiring. 10 college fair events, and each one's going to cost me $1,000. So actually, does that add up on my numbers, or did I get my numbers wrong? Because I had $50,000 here. That's wrong. It should be 5 college fair events. No, my number's way off. It'd have to be 50. I got my numbers wrong here. assume I'm going to leave the numbers where they are. So just park that for now. My numbers are off. College fair events. Let's assume you get 20 email leads per event, 2 out of 10. Same thing with that number of students per, and I actually did put it back to return on ad spend. But for a sales promotion, all I have to say is we're looking to get X number of leads at the event. Or we're going to hand out X number of samples and hope to get X number of leads. So handing out samples is fine. But ideally, if you're at an event, and you're giving stuff away and people are coming up and interfacing with you, just like if they're on social media and they're interfacing with your brand, you want to capture their information, something, right? So you have to spin the wheel and they're, entering to win something, and you try to capture that information. So leads are good. Leads are a good metric that you can use for sales promotion activities. Okay. All right, so there you go, my friends. Preguntas, questions. You can unmute, you can chat. We can go right into groups. We've got 44 minutes. We only need 40 for this exercise. So in your group, I would suggest you guys divide and conquer. So there'll be 4 of you in your group wanting to say, you know what, I'll take content, I'll take buyer persona, I'll take promo mix, I'll take metrics. Take about 10 minutes to kind of jot down some notes for your assigned piece. Talk amongst yourselves on it so you have something to pitch, and then have somebody be the presenter for your group. It's only 10 points today, guys, for attendance and being here, so you'll get those points. But then there is extra bonus points. I'll have you vote at the end as students. 20 points of extra credit for the most slick promotional plan delivery. Number 1, number 2 group gets 10 bonus points. Number 3 group gets +5 points. So keep these group assignments in mind. This top one, hospitality, I'm going to delete right now because that was just a sample. It's not what we're actually doing. It'll be either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Okay, here we go. I'm going to put you into groups. Chat me if you have questions. You can always leave your group if you have questions, or you can raise your hand in your group if you have questions, which is the best method. If you have a question in your group, just hit the raise your hand button. It'll be down at the bottom of your screen, and I'll come visit you. Here we go. Don't forget to high five and virtually hug each other and say your goodbyes, because this is it. All right, here we go. Remember your group number. 1 is Andrew, Arlene, Jennifer, and I think Narumi. It's Japanese lettering. Group 2 is Cole, JR, Genevieve, and Narumi. So it's not Narumi in group 1. There's a name that's in Japanese lettering. I don't know who you are for group 1. Group 3 is Alex, Michaela, Sophia. Group 4 is Fernie, Karen, Kelly. Group 5 is Brady, Miguel, Reese. Group 6 is Emily, Shelby, and Yumi. Off you go. Have fun. Take about 10 minutes. Divide and conquer who's going to answer which questions. Formulate a plan.
I can't.
I don't know why it's being recorded. Sorry about that. Hey, group 6, I'm going to make a pivot here. Our group 1 is down to 2 students, so I'm going to join you with group 1. So you're switching to group 1, and you'll have high school seniors. So I'm going to do that move. You're going to see yourself moving to a new group, which only has 2 members. So hold on.
Okay.
Let me out of this group, leave this room.